Marcus's fingers dug into the homeless boy's wrist, hard enough to feel bones grinding. "You touch my daughter's eye with those dirty hands, I'll break every finger you got." But Jamal didn't pull away. His voice came out steady, urgent. "Sir, there's a membrane covering her pupil. Right there. I can see it. That's why she's blind." Sophia's small hand touched her father's arm. "Daddy, my eye hurts. It always hurts." 7 years. $53,000. 19 specialists who found nothing, and this barefoot black kid claimed he could fix it in 30 seconds. Marcus had 2 choices: trust a stranger who lived on the streets, or watch his daughter stay blind forever. His grip loosened. Just barely. You get 1 chance. 1. Before we continue, subscribe now and comment which city you're watching from. You need to see what happens next. The clinic door slammed. Marcus didn't mean for it to be that hard, but his body was moving on autopilot now, running on 7 years of accumulated rage and helplessness. Sophia's small hand gripped the back of his vest as he carried her through the hallway, her legs wrapped around his waist. "Daddy, you're walking fast." Marcus forced himself to slow down. "Sorry, baby girl." "It's okay. I know you're mad." He wasn't mad. He was destroyed. But Sophia didn't need to carry that weight. "Doctor." Chen's voice still echoed in his head from 5 minutes ago. "Mr. Rivera, I've consulted with colleagues at Stanford and Johns Hopkins. Without a clear diagnosis, there's simply nothing more we can do. I'm sorry." Sorry. Marcus had paid $4,000 to hear that word. He pushed through the exit into the Nevada heat. September in Reno meant the sun hit like a fist, and Marcus felt every degree of it burning through his leather vest. His truck sat in the lot, and he moved toward it with Sophia still clinging to him. "Can I walk?" she asked. "You sure?" "I'm 7, Daddy, not a baby." Marcus set her down carefully, watched her feet find the pavement. She knew the distance from the clinic door to where he always parked, 23 steps. She'd counted them last time. Her hand reached out, found the truck's door handle on step 22. "See? I got it." Marcus's throat tightened. "Yeah, baby. You got it." He helped her into the back seat anyway, buckled her in, even though she insisted she could do it herself. Some things a father couldn't let go of, even when his daughter was ready. The drive home took 20 minutes through afternoon traffic. Marcus gripped the steering wheel hard enough to make his knuckles white. The radio played some country song about lost love and second chances, and he switched it off. He couldn't handle metaphors right now. "Daddy?" "Yeah, baby?" "Will I ever see colors?" The question hit him like a bullet, clean through the chest, no exit wound, just pain radiating outward until his whole body felt it. "Yeah," Marcus said, his voice cracking despite his best effort. "Yeah, you will." "How do you know?" "Because I'm going to make sure of it." Sophia went quiet for a moment. Then, "You always say that." "Because it's always true." "But we've seen lots of doctors." "We'll see more." "What if there aren't any more?" Marcus looked at her in the rearview mirror. She sat with her hands folded in her lap, her face turned toward the window even though she couldn't see anything outside. Her eyes were open, but unfocused, staring at nothing because nothing was all they'd ever shown her. "Then I'll find new ones," Marcus said. "I'll look everywhere. I'll never stop looking." "Okay, Daddy." She always said that, always trusted him, and every time she did, Marcus felt the weight of that trust like chains wrapping around his chest, pulling tighter with each failed appointment. They pulled into the driveway of their house on the east side. Small ranch style, 3 bedrooms, a yard that needed mowing. Marcus had bought it 5 years ago when he accepted that Sophia's blindness might be permanent, and she'd need a stable home to memorize, to navigate, to own in the only way she could. Inside, Sophia moved through the living room without hesitation. 12 steps to the couch. Turn left. 3 more steps to her toy box. She knew this house better than most people knew their own faces. "Can I have juice?" she asked. "You can have whatever you want." "Can I have a pony?" "Except a pony." She giggled, and that sound, pure, innocent, untouched by the darkness she lived in, almost made Marcus believe things could be okay. He poured apple juice into her special cup, the one with raised dots she could feel to know it was hers. She took it with both hands, sipped carefully. "Thank you, Daddy." "You're welcome, baby girl." His phone buzzed. Dutch, his VP at the Hells Angels, texting. "Church tonight, 8 p.m., mandatory." Marcus typed back, "I'll be there." Sophia's head tilted toward the sound of his typing. "Club meeting?" "Yeah." "Can I come?" "It's grown-up stuff, baby." "I like the clubhouse. It smells like oil and leather, and Hammer's cologne." Marcus smiled despite everything. "Hammer wears cologne?" "The cheap kind. It smells like my teacher's bathroom spray." "Don't tell him that." "I won't." She took another sip of juice. "Can we go to the park tomorrow?" "You want to?" "Yes, please. I like hearing other kids play. It makes me feel normal." Normal. The word gutted him. "Then we'll go," Marcus said. "First thing in the morning." "Promise?" "Promise." That night, Marcus sat in church, the Hells Angels term for their mandatory meetings. 12 brothers surrounded the table in the clubhouse's back room, the air thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of motor oil that never quite washed out of anything. Dutch called the meeting to order. "We've got business with the Mongols next week. Need to discuss territory lines before someone gets stupid." The brothers nodded, started talking strategy. Marcus heard maybe half of it. His mind kept drifting back to Dr. Chen's office, to Sophia's question in the truck, to the weight of 7 years pressing down on his shoulders. "Prez?" Dutch's voice cut through his thoughts. "You with us?" Marcus looked up. 12 faces stared at him, brothers who'd bled with him, ridden with him, trusted him to lead. "Yeah, I'm here." "You don't look here." "I'm fine." Hammer, the club's enforcer, a man whose fists had broken more bones than Marcus could count, leaned forward. "How's Sophia?" The room went quiet. Everyone knew about Sophia. The Brotherhood had helped fund some of her appointments, had taken turns watching her when Marcus needed to handle club business, had treated her like the niece she'd become to all of them. "Another doctor," Marcus said. "Another nothing." "What'd this one say?" Dutch asked. "Same thing they all say. They don't know what's wrong. Everything looks normal. Eyes are healthy, brain's fine. It's like..." Marcus struggled for words that made sense. "It's like her eyes work perfectly, but the light can't get in." "That doesn't make sense," one of the younger brothers said. "I know, but I've spent $53,000 confirming that it doesn't make sense." The number landed heavy. 53,000. The Brotherhood had kicked in maybe 8 of that through fundraisers and donations. The rest had come from Marcus selling everything he owned that wasn't essential. His backup bike, his truck, his father's vintage Harley he'd sworn never to part with. Dutch put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "What do you need, brother?" "A miracle," Marcus said. "That's what I need. And I don't know where to buy one of those." Hammer spoke up, his voice surprisingly gentle for a man his size. "My sister's kid had something wrong with his eyes when he was born. Doctors couldn't figure it out either. Turned out there was some kind of film over his pupil. Took them 2 years to find it because it was so thin you could barely see it. Marcus looked up. What happened? They removed it. Kid can see fine now. Sophia's had every test. If there was something there, they'd have found it. Maybe, Hammer said. Or maybe they weren't looking in the right place. The meeting continued. Territory discussions, upcoming runs, new prospects waiting for approval. Marcus nodded when he needed to, voted when required, but his thoughts were elsewhere. After church ended, he stayed behind. Dutch sat back down across from him. Talk to me, Prez. Marcus rubbed his face. The leather of his gloves smelled like gasoline and old sweat. What if I can't fix this? What if she grows up blind and it's because I failed her? You haven't failed her. Feels like I have. Feeling and fact are different things. Dutch leaned back in his chair. You fought for that girl every single day since she was born. That's not failure. That's love. Love doesn't matter if it doesn't change anything. Love always matters, even when it doesn't fix things. Marcus wanted to believe that. He really did. But sitting in this room, surrounded by brothers who'd seen him at his strongest, letting them see him at his weakest, it felt like admitting defeat. I watched her touch her eye today, Marcus said quietly. She does it all the time. Presses on the right one like there's pressure building inside. I've told every doctor. They all look and say there's nothing there. What do you think is there? I don't know. But something's wrong. I feel it. Dutch nodded slowly. You want my honest opinion? Always. Take a day off. Stop thinking about doctors and specialists and medical miracles. Just be her father for a day. Go to that park tomorrow like you promised. Let her feel like a normal kid for a few hours. Marcus considered this. Yeah, okay. And Press? What? Stop carrying this alone. You've got brothers. We're not just here for club business. Marcus nodded, his throat too tight to speak. He left the clubhouse around midnight, rode home through empty streets with the engine's rumble the only sound in the world. Inside, he checked on Sophia. She slept peacefully, one hand tucked under her pillow, the other resting near her face. Marcus knelt beside her bed, watching her breathe. 7 years of this. 7 years of watching his daughter navigate a world she couldn't see, trusting him to guide her, believing he'd fix it. I'm trying, baby girl, he whispered. I swear I'm trying. The next morning, Marcus woke Sophia early. Get dressed. We're going to the park. She sat up fast, her hands immediately reaching for the clothes on her chair. Really? Really. Wear whatever you want. My princess dress? If that's what makes you happy. 20 minutes later, Sophia stood in the living room wearing her soft pink dress with ruffles she could identify by touch. Marcus had brushed her hair, something he'd learned through YouTube tutorials after his ex-wife left, and pulled it back with butterfly clips. How do I look, Daddy? Like the prettiest princess in Nevada. You always say that, because it's always true. They drove to Riverside Park, a smaller playground on the west side that Marcus preferred because it was quieter, less chaotic. Fewer kids meant Sophia could navigate more easily, could hear individual sounds instead of being overwhelmed by noise. He parked and came around to help her out of the truck. I can do it, Sophia said, her small hands finding the door handle. Marcus stepped back, let her climb down herself. Independence mattered to her. She'd told him once that other kids at school did things by themselves, so she wanted to try too. Take my hand, Marcus offered. Sophia's fingers found his, gripped tight. They walked toward the playground together. The September morning was perfect, warm but not hot, a breeze carrying the smell of cut grass and someone's sprinklers running nearby. I hear water, Sophia said. Sprinklers over by the trees. And kids? 5 or 6, playing on the slide. Can I swing? Whatever you want, baby. Marcus guided her to an empty swing, helped her settle onto the rubber seat. He pushed gently from behind, watching her face light up as motion created wind against her skin. Higher, Daddy! Not too high. Safety first. You always say that. Because it's always important. Sophia laughed, tilting her head back toward the sun, and then, like she'd done 1,000 times before, her right hand drifted up to her eye. Just a gentle press, fingers pushing softly like trying to move something that wouldn't budge. Marcus watched it happen, felt the familiar frustration rising in his chest. Something was wrong with that eye. He knew it the way he knew his own name, but 19 specialists had looked and found nothing. Across the park, 15 feet away on a wooden bench near the basketball court, someone else noticed too. Jamal had been sitting there for about an hour. The park was his safe place during the day. Families came and went, and as long as he stayed quiet, stayed small, stayed invisible, nobody bothered him with questions. Questions were dangerous when you were 11 years old and completely alone. Jamal had been homeless for 3 years now, ever since his grandmother died, and the state tried to put him in foster care. He'd run instead, choosing the streets over the system because he'd seen what the system did to kids like him, bounced them from home to home, broke them down piece by piece until there was nothing left but anger and survival. Jamal chose survival on his own terms. He didn't beg. Something in him, pride maybe, or his grandmother's voice still echoing in his memory telling him, "Baby, you're better than that," refused to hold out his hand for pity. He didn't steal either. His grandmother had raised him better. Instead, Jamal helped. He'd offered to bus tables at the diner on 4th Street, earning breakfast. He'd sweep up at Tony's barber shop for lunch money. He'd help vendors at the farmer's market pack up at closing time, collecting whatever produce didn't sell. He survived in the margins, in the spaces between people's busy lives, learning to be invisible, because visibility meant child services and questions he couldn't answer. But being invisible taught Jamal something valuable. It taught him to see what others missed. He noticed the old woman squinting at her phone, struggling with cataracts she couldn't afford to fix. He saw the construction worker shielding his eyes from the sun, fighting migraines no painkiller could touch. He recognized pain, because pain had been his teacher for 3 years. 6 months ago, behind the 4th Street diner, Jamal had helped an elderly man who'd been rubbing his eye and cursing under his breath. There'd been something stuck under the man's eyelid, a tiny foreign object causing constant irritation. Jamal had helped him remove it, carefully, gently, the way his grandmother had once shown him when a neighbor had the same problem. The man's relief had been immediate. Tears had streamed down his weathered face. "Kid," he'd said, gripping Jamal's shoulders, "you just gave me back my sight." Jamal had never forgotten that moment. The power of helping someone, of using the small skills his grandmother had taught him to make a real difference in someone's life. And now, watching the little girl in the pink dress touch her eye the exact same way that old man had, Jamal felt something click in his mind. He sat up straighter on the bench, his bare feet shifting on the dusty ground. He watched her swing, watched her father push her carefully, watched her smile despite clearly not seeing any of the beauty around her. And he watched her touch that eye again. The angle was wrong at first. The morning sun was behind her, creating shadows that hid her face. But when she tilted her head back, laughing toward the sky, the light hit her perfectly. Jamal's breath stopped. No, it couldn't be. But it was. A translucent membrane, barely visible, almost impossible to see unless you knew exactly where to look and caught it in perfect light. It covered her right pupil, thin, clear, like a contact lens made of glass. Jamal had seen this before. Not exactly this, but close enough. The old man's issue had been different, but the principle was the same. Something on the eye's surface, blocking light, causing problems that looked medical but were actually mechanical. His heart started pounding. Hard, fast, like it was trying to escape his chest. He could help her. He knew he could. It would take 30 seconds, maybe less, one careful removal, and that little girl would see for the first time in… how long? Years, probably. Maybe her whole life. But Jamal also knew what would happen if he approached her. The father was right there. Massive, intimidating, wearing a leather vest with patches Jamal recognized from the streets. Hell's Angels, Reno chapter. The kind of man who protected his family with violence when necessary. The kind of man who wouldn't hesitate to hurt a homeless black kid who got too close to his daughter. Jamal had learned to read danger the way other kids learned to read books. 3 years on the streets taught you that survival meant knowing when to run, when to hide, when to stay invisible. Approaching that little girl meant becoming visible in the most dangerous way possible. But if he didn't approach, she'd stay blind forever. When the solution was right there, when he could fix it in seconds. Jamal's hands gripped the edge of the bench. His knuckles went white. His whole body trembled with the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Stay safe. Stay invisible. Protect yourself. Or risk everything to help someone you don't even know. The girl touched her eye again, pressed gently, trying to ease pressure that nobody else seemed to notice. Jamal heard his grandmother's voice in his head. "Baby, God gave you eyes to see what others miss. Don't waste that gift." He stood up. His bare feet hit the dusty ground. Every survival instinct he'd developed over 3 years screamed at him to sit back down, to stay small, to stay safe. But Jamal started walking toward her anyway. The girl had stepped off the swing. She was moving slowly toward the slide now, her hands extended slightly, feeling for obstacles. She was maybe 15 feet from Jamal. 10 feet. The father saw him. Jamal watched it happen in slow motion. The man's posture shifted immediately, his body positioning itself between Jamal and his daughter. Protective. Threatening. Final. One hand came up, palm out. A wall made of flesh and authority. "Hey!" The father's voice cut through the morning air, sharp, cold. "Back up, kid!" Jamal stopped immediately. His hands raised slightly, showing he wasn't a threat. But he didn't back away. "I'm sorry," Jamal said, his voice coming out higher than he wanted. "I'm sorry, but please." "I said, back up." The man's tone allowed zero negotiation. He was taller than Jamal by over a foot, broader by twice that. Tattoos covered his arms, names, dates, symbols Jamal didn't understand. This was a man who'd spent his life making people listen when he spoke. But Jamal shook his head. The movement was small, desperate. "Please, there's something on her eye. I can see it. I think I can help." The father's jaw tightened. His eyes narrowed, scanning Jamal from his uncombed hair to his bare, dirty feet. Taking in the torn shorts, the faded shirt with holes, the desperation radiating from every inch of his small body. Behind them, Jamal heard it. A woman's voice, loud enough to carry. "Should someone call security? That boy looks…" She didn't finish, but Jamal knew what she was going to say. Dangerous. Suspicious. Wrong. The father heard it too. Something flickered across his face. Hesitation, maybe. Or recognition of the judgment being passed. "You've got 5 seconds to explain yourself," the father said quietly. The kind of quiet that was more threatening than shouting. 5. And if I don't like what I hear, you're gone. Understand? Jamal spoke fast, words tumbling out in a rush. There's a growth on her eye, on the surface, not inside. It's thin, almost invisible. I can only see it when the light hits right. It's covering her pupil.
That's why she keeps touching it. That's why she can't see. I've helped with this kind of thing before. I know what to do. Please, just let me try. The father stared at him. 5 seconds stretched into 10, into 15. The little girl turned toward their voices. "Daddy?" "It's okay, baby," the father said, not taking his eyes off Jamal. "Just talking to someone."
"Who?"
"A boy."
"What boy?"
The father's hand shot out suddenly, grabbed Jamal's wrist, not violently, but firm enough that Jamal felt the strength in those fingers, enough strength to break bones if the man wanted. "What's your name?" the father asked.
"Jamal."
"How old are you, Jamal?"
11.
"Where are your parents?" Jamal hesitated. This was the question that always led to more questions.
"I don't have any."
"You homeless?"
"Yes, sir."
The father's grip tightened slightly. "And you expect me to believe you can help my daughter when 19 specialists couldn't?" "I don't expect anything," Jamal said, meeting his eyes. "I'm just asking you to let me try, that's all. Just let me try." Around them, Jamal felt eyes watching. Other parents at the park, keeping their children close, watching this scene unfold. A homeless black kid talking to a biker's daughter. He could feel their judgment like weight pressing down on his shoulders. The little girl moved closer. Her hands felt the air between them.
"Daddy, what's happening?"
The father looked down at her, then back at Jamal. His face was a battlefield, protective instinct warring with something else. Desperation, maybe. Or hope that had been beaten down too many times to trust itself anymore.
"Please,"
Jamal whispered.
"I can help her. I promise I won't hurt her. I just want to help."
The father made his decision. He didn't release Jamal's wrist, but he stepped aside, just enough, just barely enough to give Jamal a narrow path to his daughter. "You've got one chance," the father said, his voice deadly serious. "One. You hurt her, you scare her, you do anything I don't like, and I will put you in the ground. Do you understand me?" Jamal nodded, his throat too tight to speak. "Say it."
"I understand." "Daddy?"
The girl's voice was small, confused.
"What's happening?"
The father knelt down beside her, his hand still gripping Jamal's wrist. "Baby, this boy says he can help your eye. He says he sees something the doctors missed. Do you want to let him try?" She tilted her head, her unfocused eyes searching for Jamal's voice.
"Will it hurt?"
"No," Jamal said softly. "I promise it won't hurt. It'll just feel weird for a second."
"Weird how?"
"Like someone touching your eyelash, that's all." She considered this, then,
"What's your name?"
"Jamal."
"That's a nice name. I'm Sophia."
"Hi, Sophia. That's a really pretty name." She smiled. "Thank you. Okay, you can try." The trust in those 3 words nearly broke Jamal's heart. This little girl, who couldn't see him, who had no reason to believe him, was trusting him completely. He couldn't fail her. Jamal moved slowly, every motion careful, deliberate, telegraphed so the father could see exactly what he was doing. He knelt down, bringing himself to Sophia's eye level. "Hi," he whispered. "I'm going to look at your eye now, okay? I need you to hold really still." "Okay." Jamal leaned closer. His right hand came up, fingers extending toward her face. The father's grip on his wrist tightened, a warning, a promise of what would happen if this went wrong. Jamal tilted Sophia's head just slightly, angled it to catch the morning sunlight. And there it was. Visible now that he was close enough, now that the light hit it perfectly. The translucent membrane covering her pupil. Thin as a contact lens, clear as glass. Almost invisible, but absolutely there. His fingers moved into position. Slow. Careful. He'd done this before, but never with stakes this high. Never with a father's grip on his wrist, ready to yank him away at the first sign of trouble. Sophia's eyes widened slightly as his fingers touched the edge of her eyelid. The father's breathing stopped. Around them, the park had gone quiet. Other parents watching, waiting, judging. Jamal positioned his thumb and forefinger at the edge of the membrane, found the microscopic seam where it had attached to her eye, applied the gentlest pressure he could manage, and began to lift. The membrane resisted at first, held in place by years of natural adhesion. Jamal adjusted his angle slightly, his bottom lip caught between his teeth in concentration. "What are you doing?" Sophia whispered. "Taking something off your eye," Jamal whispered back. "Something that shouldn't be there. You're doing great. Just hold still for 5 more seconds." The membrane moved. Just a fraction. Just enough. Jamal maintained steady pressure, lifting, peeling. His hands absolutely still despite his heart hammering in his chest. It came free. Slowly at first, then all at once. The translucent membrane lifted away from Sophia's pupil, held between Jamal's thumb and forefinger like a piece of impossibly thin glass. It was larger than he'd expected, nearly covering her entire iris. No wonder she couldn't see. Jamal held it up for just a moment. Evidence. Proof. The answer to 7 years of medical failures. Then he let it drop to the ground. Silence. 1 heartbeat. 2. Sophia stood completely still, her eyes unfocused. Her expression frozen somewhere between confusion and shock. And then light flooded in. Not gradually, not gently, but all at once. 7 years of accumulated visual information hitting her brain simultaneously. Colors, shapes, movement, depth, brightness, everything. Her breath hitched, a sharp, sudden intake of air that had nothing to do with breathing and everything to do with overwhelming sensation. Her eyes widened, pupils contracting against the sudden influx of light, her whole body going rigid. The world exploded into existence. Blue sky above, green trees swaying, other children in bright clothes, the ground beneath her feet, her own hands in front of her face, her father's face. This face she'd only known through touch was now visible for the first time, and colors. Oh God, colors. Sophia's hands flew to her face, both of them, covering her eyes, then pulling away, then covering them again, as if trying to confirm that the sensation was real. Her lips trembled, her chin quivered, tears spilled down her cheeks, hot and fast and unstoppable. She looked up at her father, this man she'd known her entire life but had never truly seen. Her voice came out cracked, broken, more beautiful than any sound Marcus had ever heard. "Daddy," she whispered, "I can see you." Marcus's world stopped spinning, just stopped, like someone had reached into the universe and hit pause on everything except his daughter's face. Sophia stood there with tears streaming down her cheeks, her hands covering her mouth, her eyes, those eyes that had been dark and unfocused for 7 years, were tracking, actually tracking, following movement, seeing. "Daddy," she whispered again, "you're crying too." Marcus hadn't realized, but yeah, tears were pouring down his face, hot and fast and completely beyond his control. His grip on Jamal's wrist had gone slack. He'd forgotten he was even holding the boy. "Baby?" Marcus's voice cracked completely.
You can see me? I can see you. I can see everything. Daddy, the sky is blue. Like really blue. And the trees are green, and there's a bird, and oh my God, there are so many colors. Her voice climbed higher with each word, excitement and terror and joy all mixing together until she was practically vibrating with sensory overload. Marcus dropped to his knees in front of her, grabbed her face with both hands, searched her eyes for any sign this wasn't real, that he was hallucinating, that 7 years of desperation had finally broken his mind. But Sophia looked back at him. Actually looked.
Her pupils contracted and dilated as she focused on his face, processing features she'd only known through touch.
Your eyes are brown, she said, wonder filling her voice. Really dark brown, like chocolate.
Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had closed completely. All he could do was pull her against his chest and hold her, while his whole body shook with sobs he'd been holding back for 7 years. Around them, the park had gone completely silent. Other parents stood frozen, watching this scene unfold. Some had phones out recording. Others just stared, mouths open. Sophia pulled back from her father's chest.
Daddy, you're squeezing too tight.
Marcus loosened his grip, but didn't let go.
Sorry, baby, I can't.
I know. She smiled at him, actually saw his face, and smiled in response to his expression.
I can see you smiling, even though you're crying. It's weird, but it's beautiful.
Marcus finally remembered Jamal. He turned, still on his knees, and looked at the boy who'd just performed an actual miracle. Jamal stood a few feet back, his bare feet shifting nervously on the dusty ground. His hands were at his sides, fingers trembling slightly. His face carried an expression Marcus had seen before on combat veterans, the look of someone who'd just done something impossible and couldn't quite process it themselves.
Kid.
Marcus tried to speak, but his voice failed. He tried again. He couldn't finish. Words didn't exist for what had just happened. Jamal nodded slightly, like he understood.
Is she okay?
Am I okay? Sophia spun toward Jamal's voice, her eyes finding him immediately.
I can see everything. What's your name again?
Jamal.
Jamal, you fixed me. You fixed my eye. How did you do that?
Jamal shrugged, the movement almost apologetic. I just saw something that wasn't supposed to be there, so I took it off. That's it? You just took it off? Yeah. Sophia's face scrunched up in confusion. But we went to so many doctors. They had all these big machines and tests, and nobody saw it? It was really thin, Jamal said quietly. You could only see it when the light hit it exactly right. Marcus stood slowly, his legs unsteady beneath him. He took 2 steps toward Jamal, closing the distance between them. The boy tensed, like he was preparing to run. But Marcus didn't grab him, didn't threaten. Instead, he did something that surprised everyone watching, including himself. He pulled Jamal into a hug. The boy went rigid in his arms, clearly not used to being touched with anything resembling affection. Marcus didn't care. He held this skinny, barefoot kid who'd just given his daughter the world, and he let himself feel every ounce of gratitude that was tearing through his chest. Thank you, Marcus whispered into Jamal's hair. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jamal's hands came up slowly, awkwardly returning the hug. You're welcome, sir. Marcus pulled back, keeping his hands on Jamal's shoulders. How long you been on the streets? The question clearly caught Jamal off guard. What? How long have you been homeless? Jamal's eyes dropped.
3 years, 3 years? You're 11? Yes, sir. So you've been alone since you were 8? Yes, sir. Marcus looked at this boy, really looked at him. Dirty clothes, bare feet covered in cuts and calluses, hair that needed washing and cutting. Skinny enough that Marcus could see ribs through his thin shirt. But his eyes were sharp, alert. The eyes of someone who'd learned to survive by noticing what everyone else missed. "Where are your parents?" Marcus asked. "My mom died when I was 7. House fire. My dad left a few months later. Just didn't come home one day." Sophia had been listening. She moved closer to Jamal, her newfound vision tracking his face. "That's so sad." "It's okay," Jamal said automatically. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine," Sophia said with the brutal honesty only children possess. "You look hungry." Marcus made a decision right then. Not a thought-out, carefully considered decision, just a gut-level certainty that hit him like lightning. "Come with us," Marcus said. Jamal's eyes went wide. "What?" "Come home with us. We'll get you cleaned up, get you fed, figure out what happens next." "I can't." "Yeah, you can." Marcus's voice left no room for argument. "You just gave my daughter her sight back. You think I'm letting you walk away and go back to sleeping on a park bench?" "But I don't know you." "You don't need to know me. You need to trust me. Can you do that?" Jamal looked at Sophia, then back at Marcus. "Why are you being nice to me?" The question hit Marcus harder than he expected. "Because you are nice to my daughter. And because I've got eyes, kid. I can see you're alone. I can see you need help. And I sure as hell am not the kind of man who watches a kid suffer when I can do something about it." A woman's voice cut through the moment. "Excuse me." Marcus turned. A middle-aged woman in yoga pants and a concerned expression stood a few feet away, her phone in her hand. "Yes?" "I saw what just happened. That boy touched your daughter's face. Do you know him?" Marcus's jaw tightened. He knew where this was going. "He helped my daughter." "But do you know him? Because he looks careful," Marcus interrupted, his voice dropping to that dangerous quiet. "Real careful how you finish that sentence." The woman's face flushed. "I'm just concerned. There are rules about what? About homeless kids helping blind girls? That a rule I should know about?" "I'm just saying maybe you should call the police, just to be safe." "Safe from what exactly?" Marcus took a step toward her. "From a kid who just performed a medical miracle my daughter's doctors couldn't? From someone who saw her suffering and actually did something about it? That what I need to be safe from?" The woman backed up. "I was only trying to help." "You want to help? Mind your business." Marcus turned back to Jamal. "Come on, kid. We're leaving." They walked to the truck together, Marcus, Sophia, and Jamal. Sophia kept looking around, her head swiveling to take in everything, exclaiming over every new visual discovery. "Daddy, that car is red. Like, really, really red." "Yes, baby." "And those flowers are yellow and purple together. How do they do that?" "That's just how they grow." "It's amazing. Everything is so amazing." Marcus unlocked the truck. "Jamal, get in." Jamal hesitated at the door. "Are you sure about this?" "Kid, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Get in the truck." The drive back to Marcus's house took 20 minutes. Sophia spent the entire time narrating everything she saw through the window, her voice filled with wonder that made Marcus's chest ache. Jamal sat quietly in the back seat, his hands folded in his lap, looking like he was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like he expected Marcus to change his mind any second and kick him out onto the street. Marcus caught his eye in the rearview mirror. "You okay back there?" "Yes, sir." "You can call me Marcus, or just Mark.
Sir makes me feel old. Okay, sir. Marcus. When's the last time you ate? Jamal thought about it. Yesterday, I helped a guy move boxes behind the grocery store. He gave me a sandwich. One sandwich in 2 days? It was a big sandwich. Marcus pulled into a fast food drive-thru. What do you want? I don't have any money. Did I ask if you had money? I asked what you want.
Jamal's voice came out small.
A burger would be nice. Marcus ordered 3 combo meals with everything, plus extra fries. When they got to the window and the girl handed over the bags, the smell of hot food filled the truck. Jamal's stomach growled loud enough for everyone to hear. Sophia giggled. Your tummy is talking. Sorry, Jamal said, his face flushing. Don't apologize, Marcus said, handing back one of the bags. Eat.
Jamal opened the bag slowly, like he couldn't quite believe it was real.
He pulled out the burger and took a bite. His eyes closed, and he made a sound that was almost a whimper. Marcus glanced back. Good? It's perfect, Jamal said, around a mouthful of food. Thank you. They pulled into Marcus's driveway 15 minutes later. Sophia was out of the truck before Marcus even had it in park, running toward the house with her arms spread wide. I can see our house! Daddy, it's blue!
Our house is blue.
Careful, baby. I can see where I'm going now. I don't have to be careful. Marcus watched her go, his heart full enough to burst. Then he turned to Jamal, who was still sitting in the back seat, clutching his burger bag. Come on, kid. Let's get you inside. The house felt different with Jamal in it. Marcus watched the boy's eyes scan everything, the furniture, the pictures on the walls, the lived-in chaos of a single father raising a daughter.
Bathroom's down the hall, Marcus said. You can take a shower if you want. I'll find you some clean clothes.
Jamal nodded but didn't move. Marcus?
Yeah?
Why are you doing this? Marcus sat down on the couch, suddenly exhausted. You want the honest answer? Yes, sir. I spent 7 years trying to fix my daughter. Spent every dollar I had. Saw every doctor I could find. And none of it mattered. Then you walked up to her in a park and fixed her in 30 seconds. Marcus looked at Jamal. That tells me you're someone special. Someone worth helping. And maybe someone who deserves better than sleeping on benches. I'm not special, Jamal said quietly. I just noticed something. Kid, 19 specialists with fancy degrees and expensive equipment didn't notice. You did. That's the definition of special. Jamal's eyes filled with tears he was clearly trying to hold back. I don't have anywhere to go. Yeah, you do. You've got here. For how long? Marcus stood up, walked over to Jamal. How about we start with tonight? Then we'll figure out tomorrow when it gets here. Sound good? Jamal nodded, not trusting his voice. Good. Now go take that shower before Sophia comes back in here and starts asking you a million questions about what you can see. Jamal managed a small smile and headed down the hall. Marcus heard the bathroom door close, heard the water start running. He pulled out his phone and called Dutch. His VP answered on the second ring. Yeah, Press? I need you to come by my place. Tonight. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. My daughter can see, Dutch. Sophia can see. Silence on the other end. Then, what? A homeless kid at the park fixed her eye. Just reached up and took off something that was blocking her vision. She can see. Press, are you messing with me right now? I'm dead serious. And that kid is in my bathroom right now taking a shower because I'm not letting him go back to the streets. I need you to come by. I need the brothers to meet him. You bringing a homeless kid into your house? He saved my daughter, Dutch. I'm doing more than that. I'm making him family. Another pause. Then Dutch's voice came back, lower now. I'll call the brothers. We'll be there in an hour. Marcus hung up and sat back down on the couch.
Sophia came running in from her bedroom, carrying one of her dolls.
Daddy, look! Her dress is pink! I always knew it was soft, but now I can see it's pink.
That's beautiful, baby.
Where's Jamal?
Taking a shower.
Is he staying?
Marcus looked at his daughter, her eyes bright and clear and seeing. Yeah, baby, he's staying.
Good. I like him. He has kind eyes.
Yeah, Marcus said softly. Yeah, he does. 45 minutes later, the rumble of motorcycles announced the arrival of the Brotherhood. Marcus had called ahead, told them to keep it low-key. No need to scare Jamal more than necessary. But when Marcus opened the door, 12 Hell's Angels stood on his porch, their faces showing various degrees of curiosity and skepticism. Dutch stepped forward first. Where is she? Sophia came running from the kitchen.
Uncle Dutch!
Dutch stopped dead in his tracks. Baby girl, you can see me? I can see everything. Sophia threw her arms around his waist. You're tall. I knew you were tall, but I didn't know you were this tall. Dutch looked at Marcus over Sophia's head. His eyes were wet. Prez. I know. Hammer pushed forward. How? There was a membrane on her eye, Marcus explained. Thin as paper. A homeless kid saw it and took it off. Where is this kid? Getting dressed. He'll be out in a minute. The brothers filed into the house, filling the living room with leather and tattoos and overwhelming presence. When Jamal emerged from the hallway wearing a pair of Marcus's sweatpants rolled up at the ankles and a t-shirt that hung to his knees, he stopped short. 12 massive bikers stared at him. Jamal looked at Marcus, fear clear on his face. What's happening? Relax, kid. These are my brothers. Hell's Angels, Reno chapter. They wanted to meet the person who helped Sophia. Dutch stepped forward, extending his hand. You're the kid? Jamal nodded, shaking Dutch's hand nervously. Yes, sir. I'm Jamal. You really fixed her eye? Just like that? I just took off something that was blocking it. Hammer moved closer, looking Jamal up and down. How old are you? 11. And you've been homeless for 3 years? Yes, sir. Where'd you learn to do what you did? Jamal shifted his weight. My grandmother used to help people. Neighbors, mostly. She showed me some things before she died. What kind of things? How to remove foreign objects from eyes. How to treat burns. How to set a dislocated finger. Stuff like that. The brothers exchanged looks. Dutch spoke first. Prez, can we talk? In private? Marcus nodded. Kitchen, brothers only. Jamal, stay here with Sophia. In the kitchen, 12 brothers crowded around the table. Dutch spoke first. You're serious about keeping this kid? Dead serious, Marcus said. You know what that means? The questions? The authorities? You're a Hell's Angel with a homeless black kid living in your house. People are going to talk. Let them talk. It's not that simple, Prez. Child services might get involved. They could make trouble. Hammer cut in. Or we make it simple. The kid helped your daughter. We take care of our own. We take care of people who help our own. That's the code. Several brothers nodded. Dutch rubbed his face. I'm not saying don't help him. I'm saying think about this. Really think about it. Marcus leaned forward. I have thought about it. That kid out there saved my daughter when 19 specialists couldn't. He's 11 years old, and he's been surviving alone for 3 years. You really think I'm going to send him back to that? No, Dutch said quietly. I know you won't. That's why I'm here. If we're doing this, we do it right. Full club support. I'm not asking the club to, you're not asking. We're offering. That kid becomes family. He becomes all our responsibility. We protect him. We provide for him. We make sure nobody messes with him. That's how this works. Marcus looked around the table at his brothers, saw the same determination on every face. All in favor? Dutch asked. 12 hands went up. Unanimous, Dutch said. Kid's one of us now. They filed back into the living room. Jamal was sitting on the couch with Sophia, who was showing him her coloring books and explaining colors she'd only just learned herself. Dutch cleared his throat. Jamal? The boy looked up, nervous again. We just voted. You're family now. Hell's Angels take care of family. You need anything? You ask. You got a problem? You tell us. You understand? Jamal's eyes went wide. I don't understand. You helped one of ours, Hammer said. That makes you one of ours. Simple as that. But I'm just what? Marcus interrupted. Just a kid who saved my daughter? Just someone who's been surviving alone when you should have been protected? You're not just anything, Jamal. You're family now. Jamal's face crumpled. He tried to hold it together, tried to keep the tears back, but they came anyway. Huge, gasping sobs that shook his whole body. Sophia hugged him tight. It's okay. They're nice, really. Marcus sat down on the other side of Jamal, pulled him close. The boy dissolved against his chest, crying like he'd been holding it in for 3 years. Which, Marcus realized, he probably had been. The brothers stood there, these hard men who'd seen violence and death and every ugly thing the world offered, and every single one of them understood what they were witnessing. A child learning he wasn't alone anymore. Jamal cried himself out in about 10 minutes. When he finally pulled back from Marcus's chest, his face was red and swollen, his breathing still hitching with leftover sobs. Sorry, he whispered. Don't apologize for feeling things, Marcus said. That's not weakness. That's being human. Sophia handed Jamal a tissue from the box on the coffee table. Here, your nose is running. Sophia, Marcus warned. What? It is? Jamal took the tissue and actually laughed. A small, watery sound, but real. Thanks. Dutch pulled up a chair, sat down facing Jamal. Kid, we need to talk about some practical stuff. Where you're going to sleep, what happens tomorrow, all that. You good to talk? Jamal nodded, wiping his face. First thing, you staying here tonight, that's not a question. But tomorrow we need to figure out the legal stuff. You got any family? Anyone who might be looking for you? No, sir. Just my grandmother, and she died 3 years ago. My dad's gone. I don't know where. No aunts, uncles, cousins? My grandmother was my dad's mom. I never met anyone else from his family. My mom's family was just her and me. Dutch glanced at Marcus. That makes it easier and harder. What do you mean? Jamal asked. Easier because nobody's looking for you. Harder because we can't just keep you without paperwork. Child Services will have questions. Jamal's whole body tensed. I'm not going into foster care. I'll run again. Nobody's putting you in foster care, Marcus said firmly. That's not happening. But how? We'll figure it out, Dutch interrupted. That's what we do. We figure things out. Right now, you need food, sleep, and to stop worrying. Let us handle the complicated stuff. Hammer spoke up from the back of the room. My old lady works at the county clerk's office. She might know who to talk to about guardianship papers. Good, Dutch said. Set that up. Prez, you thinking temporary custody or full adoption? The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Jamal, this skinny kid who'd appeared out of nowhere and changed everything in 30 seconds. I don't know yet, Marcus admitted. We're taking this one day at a time. First day is making sure he's safe and fed. Tomorrow, we worry about paperwork. Fair enough. Dutch stood. Brothers, let's give them some space. Prez, you need anything tonight, you call.
The bikers filed out one by one, each stopping to shake Jamal's hand or ruffle his hair, or tell him he was going to be okay. When the door finally closed behind them, the house felt too quiet. Sophia broke the silence.
I'm hungry. Can we have dinner?
Marcus checked his watch. 7:30. Yeah, baby. What do you want?
Can Jamal pick?
Jamal looked startled. Me?
Yeah, you're our guest. Guests pick.
I don't know. Whatever you want is fine.
But what do you like?
Jamal thought about it. I haven't had spaghetti in a really long time. Spaghetti it is. Marcus headed toward the kitchen. You two stay here. I'll cook. Can I help? Jamal asked. You know how to cook? A little. My grandmother taught me some stuff. Come on then. In the kitchen, Marcus pulled out pasta and sauce while Jamal washed his hands at the sink. The boy's movements were efficient, practiced. He knew his way around a kitchen. You cook a lot when you were with your grandmother? Marcus asked.
Every night. She said a man who can feed himself is a man who'll never go hungry.
Smart woman.
She was. She knew a lot about a lot of things.
Jamal paused.
I miss her.
I bet you do. They worked in companionable silence for a few minutes. Marcus put water on to boil while Jamal opened the sauce jar and poured it into a pan.
Marcus?
Yeah?
Why are you being so nice to me?
Marcus turned to face him. You really gotta ask that? I just don't understand. People don't usually help kids like me. Kids like you? What does that mean? Jamal hesitated.
Homeless kids. Black kids. Kids nobody wants.
The words hit Marcus like a punch. Is that what you think you are? A kid nobody wants?
I've been alone for 3 years. If somebody wanted me, they'd have found me by now.
Marcus turned off the burner, gave Jamal his full attention. Listen to me. Listen real careful. You are not unwanted. You were lost. There's a difference. And now you're found. You understand? Jamal's eyes filled with tears again.
But for how long?
How long what?
How long until you don't want me anymore? Until this gets too hard or too complicated or too expensive.
Marcus's heart broke for this kid who'd learned to expect abandonment. Jamal, look at me. The boy looked up. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what happens next week or next month. But I know this. You're not going back to sleeping on benches. You're not going back to being alone. Whatever happens, we're going to figure it out together. That's a promise.
People break promises.
Yeah, they do. But I don't. And you're going to learn that about me. Jamal nodded slowly, wanting to believe, but clearly still afraid to hope. Dinner was simple, but good. Sophia narrated the entire meal, describing the color of the pasta, the red of the sauce, the green of the salad Marcus threw together.
Everything is so pretty, she said. Why didn't anyone tell me food was pretty?
We tried, Marcus said. You just couldn't see it.
Well, now I can, and it's amazing.
After dinner, Marcus set Jamal up in the guest room. Clean sheets, a pillow that didn't smell like the streets, a door that locked from the inside. Bathrooms across the hall, Marcus explained. You need anything in the night, you come get me. My room's at the end of the hall. Jamal stood in the doorway, looking at the bed like it might disappear.
This is really for me?
Really for you.
What time should I wake up?
Whenever you wake up. There's no schedule tonight. Just sleep.
Okay.
Jamal paused.
Thank you. For everything.
You already thanked me. Now get some rest." Marcus closed the door and headed to Sophia's room.
She was already in her pajamas, sitting on her bed and staring at the walls.
"You okay, baby?"
"I'm looking at my room. Really looking at it. My wallpaper has flowers on it."
"It does. You picked it out when you were 5.
"I did?"
"Yeah. You felt the different textures of wallpaper samples and chose the one that felt like flowers." Sophia traced the pattern with her fingers.
"I was right. They do look like flowers."
Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. "How are your eyes feeling? Any pain?"
"No pain. Just weird. Like my brain is trying to figure out what to do with all this information."
"That makes sense. It's a lot to process."
"Daddy?
"Yeah, baby?"
Is Jamal going to stay forever?"
Marcus chose his words carefully. "I don't know about forever, but he's staying as long as he needs to, as long as we can make it work."
"I hope he stays forever. I like him."
"Me too, baby. Me too."
That night, Marcus lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his mind racing.
24 hours ago, his daughter was blind. Now she could see. 24 hours ago, he was alone, trying to figure out how to help her. Now he had a homeless kid sleeping in his guest room and 12 bikers committed to helping. His phone buzzed. Dutch. "You still up?" "Yeah," Marcus said. "Talks to Hammer's old lady. She says guardianship is possible, but it'll take time. Background checks, home visits, the whole 9 yards. You prepared for that?"
"I don't have a choice."
"Yeah, you do. You could call child services right now, turn him over, let the system handle it."
"That's not a choice. That's abandonment."
"I know. Just making sure you know what you're signing up for. This is going to get complicated."
"Everything worth doing is complicated."
Dutch was quiet for a moment. Yeah, it is. Get some sleep, Prez. Tomorrow's going to be busy." Marcus hung up and closed his eyes. Sleep didn't come easy, but when it did, it was the best sleep he'd had in 7 years. He woke to voices in the kitchen. Sunlight streamed through his window. He'd slept past 8, later than he had in months. He pulled on jeans and a t-shirt and headed toward the sound. Sophia and Jamal sat at the kitchen table eating cereal. Sophia was still narrating everything.
"The milk is white, like really, really white,
And the cereal is brown, and it makes the milk turn a little bit brown too." "Good morning," Marcus said. They both looked up. Sophia smiled. Jamal looked nervous again, like he expected Marcus to have changed his mind overnight.
"Morning," Jamal said quietly. "I hope it's okay that I made breakfast. I was hungry and I didn't want to wake you."
"It's fine. You don't need permission to eat here."
"Okay."
Marcus poured himself coffee. "So here's the plan for today. We need to get you some clothes that actually fit. Then we're going to talk to some people about making your stay here official." Jamal's spoon stopped halfway to his mouth.
"Official how?"
"Legal guardianship, temporary custody, whatever makes it so you can stay here without the state trying to take you away."
"That's a real thing? You can do that?"
"We're going to try."
"What if they say no?"
Marcus sat down at the table. "Then we figure out Plan B, but we're not going to worry about Plan B until we need it. Right now, we focus on Plan A." An hour later, they were at Target. Sophia insisted on coming, wanted to help Jamal pick out clothes. Marcus pushed a cart while the 2 kids ran ahead, Sophia pointing out colors and Jamal actually smiling for the first time since Marcus had met him.
"These are blue,"
Sophia said, holding up a pair of jeans.
"That's a good color for you."
"How do you know what's a good color for me? You just started seeing colors yesterday." "I just know. It feels right." They loaded the cart with jeans, t-shirts, a jacket, socks, and shoes that actually fit. At the register, the total came to $347. Marcus didn't blink. "Is that a lot?" Jamal asked, watching Marcus swipe his card. "It's fine. I'll pay you back." "You're 11. How exactly are you going to pay me back?" "I don't know, but I will."
Someday. Marcus looked at this kid who'd spent 3 years alone and still believed in paying debts. "Tell you what, you help me take care of Sophia, help around the house, do your homework when you start school. That's payment enough."
"School? You thought you weren't going to school?
I haven't been to school in 3 years.
Well, that's about to change. Back at the house, Marcus made the call he'd been dreading. Child Protective Services. The woman who answered sounded tired and overworked.
Child Protective Services, this is Janet.
"Hi, my name is Marcus Rivera. I need to talk to someone about temporary guardianship of a minor."
Is the child related to you?
"No."
Are you currently housing this child?
"Yes." There was a pause.
Sir, if you have an unrelated minor in your home without proper authorization, that's a legal issue.
"I understand. That's why I'm calling. The child is homeless. I found him yesterday, and I'm not sending him back to the streets. I want to do this the right way." Another pause, longer this time. "How old is the child?"
11.
"And how long has he been in your care?"
Less than 24 hours.
"I'm going to need to send someone to your home for an evaluation. Can you be available tomorrow morning?" Marcus's stomach tightened.
Yes.
10 o'clock. Someone will be there to assess the situation. In the meantime, the child needs to remain in your care. Do not let him leave your sight. Understood?
Understood.
He hung up and found Dutch's number. "We got a problem," Marcus said when his VP answered.
What kind of problem?
"Child Services is coming tomorrow at 10. They're sending someone to evaluate whether Jamal can stay."
What do you need?
"I need the house to look good. I need character references. I need everything to be perfect."
We're on it.
"I'll have the brothers there at 8. I'll make sure your house looks like the damn Ritz." "Dutch, don't argue. This is what brotherhood means. We show up. Always." The next morning at 7:45, motorcycles started arriving. Brothers Marcus hadn't even called showed up with cleaning supplies, fresh groceries, and determination. Hammer walked in with his old lady, a kind-faced woman named Susan, who immediately started organizing the kitchen. "You got a social worker coming. Your house needs to look like a home, not a bachelor pad." Dutch showed up with fresh paint for the guest room walls. "Kid needs his room to look permanent, not temporary." By 9:30, the house was spotless. The guest room had been transformed into an actual bedroom with posters on the walls and books on the shelves. The kitchen gleamed. Even the yard had been mowed. Jamal stood in the living room, watching this happen with wide eyes.
They're doing all this for me?
"They're doing this for family," Marcus corrected. At exactly 10 o'clock, a silver sedan pulled into the driveway. A woman in her 40s stepped out, carrying a clipboard, and wearing the expression of someone who'd seen too much and believed too little. Marcus opened the door before she could knock. "Ms. Patterson?"
Mr. Rivera, I'm here to evaluate the minor in your care.
"Come in." She stepped inside, her eyes scanning everything. The clean house, the bikers standing in the kitchen trying to look non-threatening, the little girl watching her with clear, bright eyes.
"And this is?"
she asked, nodding toward Sophia. "My daughter, Sophia."
I see. And the minor you called about?
"Jamal. He's in his room. I'll get him."
His room?
"Yes, the guest room. We set it up for him." Marcus knocked on the guest room door. Jamal opened it, freshly showered and wearing his new clothes. "There's someone here to meet you," Marcus said gently.
It's okay. Just be honest.
They walked back to the living room together. Ms. Patterson looked Jamal up and down,
her expression unreadable. "Hello, Jamal. I'm Ms. Patterson from Child Protective Services. I need to ask you some questions. Is that all right?" Jamal nodded. "How did you come to be in Mr. Rivera's care?" "I helped his daughter at the park. She was blind, and I fixed her eye. He brought me home after that." Ms. Patterson's eyebrows rose.
"You fixed her eye?" "There was something covering it. I took it off." She looked at Sophia. "Is this true?" Sophia nodded enthusiastically. "I couldn't see my whole life, and then Jamal touched my eye, and now I can see everything. Colors and trees, and my daddy's face, and everything." Ms. Patterson made notes on her clipboard. "And where were you living before Mr. Rivera took you in?" "On the streets," Jamal said quietly. "For 3 years." "Why didn't you contact authorities?" "Because I didn't want to go into foster care." "Why not?" Jamal's hands clenched at his sides. "Because I've heard stories about kids who get bounced around, who get hurt. I figured I was safer on my own." "And now?" "Now I don't feel like I'm on my own anymore." Ms. Patterson turned to Marcus. "Mr. Rivera, you understand that taking in an unrelated minor without proper channels is highly irregular?" "Yes, ma'am. That's why I called you. I want to do this right." Right would have been calling us the moment you found him. Right was making sure he was safe and fed first. Everything else is secondary. She made more notes. "I'll need to conduct individual interviews. Jamal, you'll come with me to another room. Mr. Rivera, you'll wait here." Marcus's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Whatever you need." Ms. Patterson took Jamal into the kitchen, closing the door behind them. Marcus stood in the living room with his brothers around him, waiting. Dutch put a hand on his shoulder. "It'll be fine." "You don't know that." "Yeah, I do. That kid wants to stay. You want him to stay. Sometimes that's enough." 15 minutes later, the kitchen door opened. Ms. Patterson emerged with Jamal behind her. Her expression had changed, softer somehow. "Mr. Rivera, I have to say this is one of the more unusual situations I've encountered. But Jamal has made it very clear he wants to stay here. And after seeing your home, meeting your daughter, and observing how you interact with him, I'm inclined to approve temporary emergency custody." Marcus felt his knees go weak. "You are?" "With conditions. You'll need to complete a full background check, attend mandatory parenting classes, submit to regular home visits, and Jamal needs to be enrolled in school immediately." "Done. All of it. Whatever you need." She handed him a packet of papers. "Fill these out and return them to my office by Friday. I'll be back in 2 weeks to check on the situation. If everything looks good, we'll move forward with a more permanent arrangement." "Thank you," Marcus said. "Thank you so much." Ms. Patterson looked at Jamal. "You take care of yourself. And if anything changes, if you feel unsafe for any reason, you call me immediately. Understand?" "Yes, ma'am." She left, and the moment the door closed, the house erupted. Brothers clapping Marcus on the back, Sophia hugging Jamal, Dutch grinning like Christmas had come early. "We did it," Marcus said, pulling Jamal into a hug. "You're staying." Jamal buried his face in Marcus's chest, his shoulders shaking. "I'm staying." "Yeah, kid. You're staying." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. Not from worry this time, but from something else entirely. Hope, maybe. The unfamiliar weight of things actually working out. He got up around 2 in the morning, headed to the kitchen for water. The light was already on. Jamal sat at the table with one of Sophia's coloring books, carefully filling in a picture with colored pencils. "Can't sleep?" Marcus asked. Jamal jumped, nearly dropping the pencil. "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you." "You didn't. I was already up." Marcus sat down across from him. "What are you doing?" Sophia said I could use your colors. I wanted to see what it felt like to make something pretty.
Marcus looked at the page. A garden scene, flowers colored in with careful precision. That's good work.
It's okay. I'm not very good at staying in the lines.
Nobody's good at that in the beginning. You just keep practicing. Jamal set the pencil down.
Marcus?
Yeah?
What happens if I mess this up? If Miss Patterson comes back and decides I should go somewhere else?
Then we fight it. We get lawyers if we have to.
We don't just give up. But what if the law says the law doesn't know you? I do. The brothers do. Sophia does. And we're not letting you go without a fight.
Jamal's eyes filled with tears. He was trying hard to blink back.
I've never had anyone fight for me before.
Well, you do now. Get used to it.
They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Jamal went back to coloring.
Marcus watched him work. This kid who'd survived 3 years alone and still believed in making pretty things.
Jamal, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Those 3 years on the streets, how bad did it get? Jamal's hand stilled on the paper.
Bad enough?
You want to talk about it?
Not really. But I probably should, right? That's what people do in families. They talk.
Only if you're ready. Jamal took a deep breath.
There were nights I thought I wasn't going to make it.
Nights when it was so cold I couldn't feel my feet. Days when I was so hungry I almost stole food, almost gave up on what my grandmother taught me about being better than that.
But you didn't steal.
No, I never did. But I wanted to. So many times.
What stopped you?
Her voice in my head, telling me that how you survive matters just as much as if you survive. That you don't throw away who you are just because things get hard. Marcus felt something break open in his chest. Your grandmother raised you right.
She tried. I miss her every day.
I know you do. Jamal looked up, meeting Marcus's eyes. Do you think she'd be proud of me? For helping Sophia? For ending up here instead of still on the streets? Kid, I think she'd be so proud she'd be telling everyone she ever met. I think she's probably up there right now bragging to whoever will listen about her grandson who saved a little girl's sight. Jamal smiled through his tears.
Yeah, she would do that.
She was always bragging about me, even when I didn't do anything special.
You were breathing. That was special enough for her.
They sat there until almost 3 a.m, talking about grandmothers and survival, and what it means to find family when you thought you'd lost everything. When Jamal finally went back to bed, Marcus stayed at the table, looking at the colored picture the boy had left behind. A garden full of flowers and colors Jamal was only just learning the names of. Monday morning came too fast. School registration day. Marcus had called ahead, explained the situation to the principal at Jefferson Middle School. The woman had been skeptical at first, then sympathetic when Marcus explained about the emergency custody and Jamal's 3 years away from school.
We'll need to do some testing, Principal Henderson said when they arrived at her office. Figure out where he's at academically. 3 years is a long gap.
Jamal sat in the chair beside Marcus, wearing his new jeans and a blue t-shirt Sophia had picked out. He looked terrified.
I'm not good at tests,
Jamal said quietly. You don't know that, Marcus said. You haven't taken one in 3 years.
Exactly. I probably forgot everything.
Principal Henderson smiled. It was genuine, not the fake smile adults sometimes gave kids they pitied. Jamal, we're not trying to catch you failing. We're trying to figure out how to help you succeed. There's a difference. They put him in a room with a testing coordinator for 2 hours. Marcus waited in the office, drinking bad coffee and filling out paperwork. Sophia sat beside him, reading a book out loud, practicing her newfound ability to see words.
Daddy, this word is mountain. I can see it's spelled weird, but I know what it means now. That's great, baby.
When Jamal comes out, can we get ice cream?
Why ice cream? Because tests are hard, and ice cream makes hard things better. Marcus smiled. Yeah, baby. We can get ice cream. When Jamal finally emerged, he looked exhausted. The testing coordinator, a young woman named Ms. Chen, pulled Marcus aside. Can we talk privately? Marcus's stomach dropped. Is it bad? Actually, no. It's remarkable. That boy has been teaching himself for 3 years. He's reading at an 8th grade level. His math is a bit behind, around 5th grade, but his critical thinking skills are exceptional. Problem solving, logic, spatial reasoning, all testing well above his age group. So he's okay to enroll? More than okay. Mr. Rivera, your son is gifted. He's not technically my son yet. Legally, maybe not. But I've been doing this job for 20 years. I know what a father looks like when he's talking about his kid. That boy is your son. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Yeah, he is. They enrolled Jamal in 6th grade, starting the following Monday. He'd have 5 days to prepare, to adjust, to get used to the idea of being a regular kid again. On the way home, they stopped for ice cream, like Sophia insisted. She got chocolate, Jamal got vanilla. Marcus got coffee. So, Marcus said, watching Jamal eat his cone carefully so it wouldn't drip. You're smart. Jamal shrugged. Miss Chen was just being nice. Ms. Chen doesn't get paid to be nice. She gets paid to tell the truth. And the truth is, you're reading at an 8th grade level. I read a lot when I was on the streets. The library was warm and free, and nobody asked questions if you just sat and read. What kind of stuff did you read? Everything. Novels, textbooks people left behind, science magazines, medical journals sometimes. Medical journals? At 8 years old? I wanted to understand how the body works, how to help people when they got hurt. Sophia leaned across the table. That's how you knew about my eye, right? You read about it somewhere? Sort of. I read about eye anatomy, and my grandmother had shown me how to remove foreign objects from eyes. I just put the two things together. Marcus shook his head in amazement. Kid, you know you're not normal, right? Jamal's face fell. I know. I'm weird. I'm sorry. No, not weird. Extraordinary. There's a difference. Oh. Jamal processed this. Is extraordinary good? Extraordinary is amazing. That night, Marcus called a special church meeting. All the brothers gathered at the clubhouse at 8. Jamal stayed home with Sophia and Dutch's old lady, Carol, who'd volunteered to babysit. When everyone was seated, Marcus stood at the head of the table. Brothers, I need to talk to you about something important. About Jamal, and what we're doing here. Hammer leaned forward. Something wrong, Prez? No. Something's right. That's the problem. This kid is smart, really smart, and he's got potential to do something with his life. Something big. But that means he's going to need more than just a roof and food. What's he need? Dutch asked. He needs stability. Real stability. Not just temporary custody. He needs to know he's not going anywhere. Ever. He needs adoption papers. Legal, permanent, no questions asked adoption. The room went quiet. Prez? One of the younger brothers said carefully. That's a big commitment. I know what it is. You sure you're ready for that? Permanent means permanent. Marcus looked around the table at faces he'd known for years. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. That kid saved my daughter. And more than that, he's a good kid. A great kid. He deserves a family that's not going to disappear on him. I want to be that family.
Dutch spoke up.
You know what you're asking for, right? A black kid with a biker dad? People are going to talk. They're going to judge. They're going to make assumptions. Let them. It's going to affect the club. People already look at us sideways. Add in transracial adoption, and some folks are going to have opinions.
Since when do we care about other people's opinions? Hammer grinned.
We don't. That's kind of our whole thing.
Exactly. So here's what I'm asking. I need support.
Legal support, financial support if it comes to that, and emotional support when things get hard. Because they will get hard. Can I count on this club to back me up? 12 hands went up without hesitation. Unanimous, Dutch said. Kid's going to be a Rivera. We'll make sure it happens. Marcus felt something in his chest release. Thanks, brothers. One more thing, Hammer said. We should probably talk about what happens when people start asking questions. About where Jamal came from. About his story. What do you mean? I mean, word's going to spread. Homeless kid heals blind girl, gets adopted by Hell's Angels president? That's a news story waiting to happen. We need to control the narrative before someone else does. Marcus hadn't thought about that. What do you suggest? We tell the truth. Simple, straightforward. No embellishments. Kid helped your daughter, you helped him back. Now he's family. Anyone who's got a problem with that can talk to us. The brothers nodded in agreement. 3 days later, Marcus was at a lawyer's office downtown. Attorney named Patricia Shaw came highly recommended by Hammer's old lady.
Mr. Rivera, I've reviewed your situation. Emergency custody is a good start, but you want full adoption. We need to be strategic.
What does that mean?
It means we need to build an airtight case that you're the best placement for Jamal.
We need character references, financial stability documentation, proof of a stable home environment, and we need to demonstrate that Jamal wants this as much as you do.
He does. I know he does.
Then we need him to say so, in front of a judge. Are you prepared for that? Marcus thought about Jamal, how hard it was for him to trust, how long it had taken him to even believe he could stay.
I'll prepare him.
Good. We'll file the petition next week. In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. Be his parent. Let him be your son. The rest will follow. On Jamal's first day of school, Marcus woke him up at 6:30. The kid was already awake, sitting on his bed fully dressed. Couldn't sleep? Marcus asked.
Too nervous.
It's going to be fine.
What if the other kids don't like me?
Then they're idiots, and you find different kids to hang out with.
What if I don't fit in?
Marcus sat down on the bed beside him. Jamal, listen to me. You survived 3 years on the streets alone. You helped a blind girl see. You learned yourself up to 8th grade reading while living in a library because you had nowhere else to go. You really think middle school is going to be harder than that? Jamal thought about it. When you put it that way, no.
Exactly. You've already done the hard part. This is the easy part.
It wasn't actually easy. Marcus could see that when he picked Jamal up at 3 o'clock. The kid's shoulders were tight, his smile forced. In the truck, Sophia asked the question Marcus was thinking.
How was it?
Fine, Jamal said.
That's not a real answer. Real answers have details.
Jamal sighed.
It was weird. Everyone kept staring at me. The teacher introduced me as the new student and people whispered. At lunch, I sat alone because I didn't know where to sit and nobody invited me to sit with them.
Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Did anyone say anything to you?
A couple kids asked where I was before. I said I was homeschooled. Seemed easier than explaining the truth.
You don't have to lie about who you are.
I'm not lying. I'm just not telling them everything. There's a difference.
Sophia leaned forward from the back seat.
Tomorrow you can sit with me at lunch. I'll introduce you to my friends.
Sophia, you're in 2nd grade.
I can't sit with second graders. Why not? We're nice.
Because I'm in 6th grade, and that would be weird. Marcus glanced at Jamal. Give it time, kid. First days are always rough. It'll get better. But it didn't get better. Not right away. By the end of the first week, Jamal had been in 2 fights, not because he started them, but because he finished them. Principal Henderson called Marcus on Friday afternoon. Mr. Rivera, we need to talk about Jamal. Marcus's heart sank. What happened? A student made a comment about Jamal being homeless. Jamal responded by punching him in the face. Is the other kid okay? He's fine. Bruised ego more than anything. But, Mr. Rivera, we have a zero-tolerance policy on violence. What did the kid say to him? That's not relevant. It's absolutely relevant. If someone provoked my son, I need to know what was said. Principal Henderson sighed. The student called Jamal a charity case and said he probably had diseases from living on the streets. Marcus felt rage bloom hot in his chest. And you're calling me because Jamal defended himself? I'm calling because violence is not the answer. What would you have him do? Stand there and take it? I would have him report it to a teacher. Right, because that always works out so well for the kid being bullied. Mr. Rivera, no, you listen to me. My son has been through hell. 3 years on the streets, watching his grandmother die, being abandoned by his father. He finally has a home, finally has stability, and you're telling me he's the problem because he stood up to some punk who decided to make him feel worthless? I understand your frustration. Do you? Do you really? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you're more concerned about protecting the bully than protecting my kid. There was a long pause. You're right. I apologize. I should have led with what I'm doing about the other student. He's been suspended for 3 days. Jamal will receive a warning, but no suspension, since this is his first incident, and he was clearly provoked. Marcus felt some of his anger drain away. Thank you. But, Mr. Rivera, Jamal needs to learn to walk away. If this happens again, maybe your school needs to do a better job of stopping it before it gets to the point where my kid feels like his only option is fighting back. He hung up and immediately called Dutch. We got a problem. Dutch listened while Marcus explained, then, I'll talk to him. Sometimes kids listen to uncles better than dads. That night, Dutch showed up at the house. Jamal was in his room doing homework. Dutch knocked on the door. Kid, it's Dutch. Can I come in? Sure. Dutch sat on the edge of the bed. Heard you had some trouble at school. Jamal didn't look up from his math worksheet. I guess. Want to talk about it? Not really. Fair enough. But I'm going to talk anyway, so you might as well listen. Jamal set down his pencil. Here's the thing about fighting, Dutch said. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the only option you got. But most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, fighting just makes things worse. He called me a charity case. I know. Marcus told me. And that kid was wrong, dead wrong. But you know what happens when you punch someone? You give them exactly what they want. How? Because now you're the violent kid, the kid who can't control himself, the kid who proves everything they say about you. You see what I'm saying? Jamal's eyes filled with tears. I couldn't just stand there and let him say that stuff. I know, but next time someone says something stupid, you gotta be smarter than them. You gotta prove them wrong by being better, not by hitting harder. How do I do that? By showing up every day, by doing your homework, by being a good student and a good person, by making it impossible for anyone to look at you and see anything other than what you really are. A smart, capable kid who deserves to be there just as much as anyone else. Jamal wiped his eyes. What if they don't stop? Then you tell us and we handle it. That's what family does.
You don't have to fight alone anymore. The next Monday, Marcus got a different kind of phone call. Ms. Patterson.
Mr. Rivera, I'm calling with an update on Jamal's case.
Marcus braced himself. Okay.
I've completed my investigation. Background check came back clean. Home visits have been positive. Jamal is clearly thriving in your care.
I'm recommending that we move forward with permanent placement. Marcus sat down hard on the couch.
You are? Yes. Barring any objections from the court, you should be able to proceed with adoption proceedings.
When?
Your attorney will file the petition. You'll have a court date within 60 days. If the judge approves, Jamal will legally be your son. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had closed completely. Mr. Rivera, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Don't thank me. Thank yourself for stepping up when it mattered. And thank Jamal for being brave enough to accept help. Not every child can do that. That night, Marcus sat Jamal and Sophia down at the kitchen table. I got some news today. Sophia bounced in her seat.
Good news?
Really good news. Ms. Patterson called. She's recommending that Jamal stays here permanently. We're going to court in about 2 months to make it official. Sophia screamed and threw her arms around Jamal.
You're going to be my brother! Really, my brother!
Jamal looked at Marcus, his eyes wide. Permanent? Like forever? Like forever. If you want that. If I want that? Of course I want that. I just didn't think it was possible. Well, it is. And in 2 months, you're going to be Jamal Rivera. Officially. Jamal started crying. Not quiet tears this time, but full sobs that shook his whole body.
Marcus pulled him close, held him while he cried, while he let out 3 years of fear and loneliness, and believing nobody would ever want him.
Sophia climbed into Marcus's lap, wrapped her arms around both of them.
We're a family. A real family.
And Marcus, looking at these 2 kids who'd found each other in the most impossible way, couldn't agree more. The 60 days before the adoption hearing felt like both the longest and shortest period of Marcus's life. Every day brought something new. Jamal settling into school, Sophia discovering more about the visual world she'd been missing, and the 3 of them learning how to be a family. But it also brought challenges nobody had prepared them for. The first came 3 weeks before the court date. Marcus was at the clubhouse when his phone rang. Jefferson Middle School, the caller ID said.
Mr. Rivera, this is Principal Henderson. I need you to come pick up Jamal immediately.
Marcus's stomach dropped. What happened?
There's been an incident. I'd rather discuss it in person. 20 minutes later, Marcus walked into the principal's office. Jamal sat in a chair, his knuckles bruised, his right eye swelling. Across the room sat another boy and his mother, the kid sporting a bloody nose and a look of pure hatred. What the hell happened? Marcus demanded. Principal Henderson held up a hand. Mr. Rivera, please sit down.
I'll sit when someone tells me why my son looks like he went 3 rounds in a boxing ring.
The other mother stood up.
Your son attacked mine, unprovoked. He's violent and dangerous and shouldn't be in this school.
Marcus turned to Jamal. That true? Jamal's voice came out, quiet but steady.
He said Sophia was faking. Said she was never really blind, and we made the whole thing up for attention.
The rage that flooded Marcus's system was immediate and total. He turned to the other boy. You said what? Mr. Rivera, Principal Henderson warned. No. I want to hear this kid say it to my face. Tell me what you said about my daughter. The boy looked at his mother, then back at Marcus. I just said it seemed weird that she was blind her whole life and then suddenly she can see. People don't just get cured like that. So you called my daughter a liar. I didn't say liar, that's exactly what you said.
And then what? You said it in front of my son?
The boy's mother stepped forward. My son has a right to his opinion. His opinion is calling a 7-year-old girl a liar and her brother a fraud. That's not an opinion. That's harassment. Principal Henderson stood. Everyone needs to calm down. This situation is already escalated enough. Marcus looked at Jamal. Did you start it? No, sir. He said it at lunch in front of everyone. I told him to stop. He said it again, louder. So I hit him. Once? 3 times. The other mother gasped. He attacked my son multiple times, and you're defending him? Marcus turned to her. Your son called my daughter a liar. My son defended her. That's what brothers do. By using violence? By standing up to bullies who think they can say whatever they want without consequences. Principal Henderson's voice cut through the argument. Both boys are suspended for 3 days. End of discussion. That's not fair, Jamal said. I was defending Sophia. School policy is 0 tolerance. I have no choice. Marcus's jaw clenched. Come on, Jamal, we're leaving. In the truck, Marcus didn't start the engine right away. He just sat there, gripping the steering wheel. I'm sorry, Jamal said quietly. I know I messed up. I know I promised Dutch I wouldn't fight anymore. Did that kid deserve to get hit? Yes. Then you didn't mess up. You did what you had to do. Jamal looked up, surprised. You're not mad? I'm furious, but not at you. At that punk kid and his mother who thinks her son can say whatever he wants without getting called on it. Principal Henderson said I should have walked away. Principal Henderson doesn't have a little sister who got called a liar in front of the whole cafeteria. You do. And you stood up for her. That's not wrong, Jamal. That's love. Jamal's eyes filled with tears. I just couldn't let him say that about Sophia. She went through so much. She deserves better than people calling her a fake. I know she does, and I'm proud of you for defending her. But I got suspended. So what? 3 days. We'll survive. And when you go back, everybody's going to know that messing with the Riveras has consequences. When they got home, Sophia was waiting on the porch. She took one look at Jamal's face, and her expression crumpled. What happened to you? Got in a fight. About what? Jamal hesitated. Marcus answered for him. About you, baby. Someone said you were faking being blind. Sophia's hands balled into fists. That's a lie. I know. Jamal knows. That's why he hit the kid who said it. Sophia threw her arms around Jamal. Thank you for defending me. You don't have to thank me. You're my sister. Am I? Really? Even though the papers aren't signed yet? Jamal held her tight. You've been my sister since the park. The papers just make it official. That night, Dutch called an emergency church meeting. When Marcus arrived at the clubhouse, all 12 brothers were already there. We heard about the school thing, Dutch said. How's the kid? Bruised but fine. 3-day suspension. Hammer shook his head. That's garbage. Kid was defending his sister. I know, but it is what it is. How's this going to affect the adoption? One of the younger brothers asked. Marcus felt his stomach twist. I don't know. Ms. Patterson might see it as a red flag. Violence, behavioral issues, all that. Or, Dutch said slowly, she might see it as a kid who's learning what it means to be part of a family, to protect the people he loves. You think she'll see it that way? Only one way to find out. You call her, tell her what happened before she hears it from someone else. Control the narrative. Marcus made the call from the clubhouse office. Ms. Patterson answered on the 3rd ring. Mr. Rivera, I was actually about to call you. His heart sank. You heard about the suspension. I did. The school is required to notify me of any incidents involving children in protective custody. Want to tell me your side? Marcus explained everything. The comment about Sophia, Jamal's response, the suspension. Ms. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. How's Jamal handling it? He feels guilty, but I told him I was proud of him for standing up for his sister. You encouraged violence? I encouraged family loyalty. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, this could look like you're teaching him that fighting is acceptable. I'm teaching him that protecting the people you love is acceptable. If someone attacked my daughter verbally, yeah, I'd expect my son to defend her. Wouldn't you? Another pause. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to note this incident in my report, but I'm also going to note that Jamal was provoked and that he was defending a family member. The judge will take it into consideration. Will it hurt our case? That depends on the judge. Some will see it as a problem. Others will see it as a sign that Jamal is bonding with your family and learning to be protective of his sister. We'll find out in 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks were torture. Marcus tried to act normal, tried to keep things stable for the kids, but the fear sat in his chest like a stone. What if the judge said no? What if they decided Jamal was too much of a behavioral risk? What if they took him away and put him in foster care? Jamal felt it too. Marcus could see it in the way the kid withdrew, went quiet, stopped making eye contact. 1 week before the hearing, Marcus found Jamal in his room, packing his clothes into his backpack. What are you doing? Jamal didn't look up. Getting ready? Ready for what? For when they say no? For when they take me away? I want to be prepared. Marcus felt something break inside his chest. He sat down on the bed. Kid, look at me. Jamal looked up, his eyes red. We're not losing you, you hear me? Whatever happens in that courtroom, you're my son. Papers or no papers, court order or no court order. You're mine, and I'm not letting you go. But what if the judge? Then we appeal. We fight. We do whatever it takes, but we don't give up before the battle even starts. You can't promise that. Watch me. I promise you, Jamal Rivera, that I will fight for you until I have nothing left to fight with. You're stuck with me now. Deal with it. Jamal's face crumpled, and he fell into Marcus's arms, sobbing. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go back to being alone. You're not going to be alone. Ever again. I swear it. The night before the hearing, the entire Hells Angels Reno chapter showed up at Marcus's house. 12 bikers in their cuts, carrying food and drinks and solidarity. Dutch clapped Marcus on the shoulder. Tomorrow's a big day, brother. We're all going with you. You don't have to do that. We know. We're doing it anyway. That kid in there? He's one of ours now. We show up for our own. They filled the house with noise and laughter and stories. Jamal sat in the middle of it all, looking overwhelmed but happy. Sophia ran between the brothers, showing off her ability to see, describing colors and faces she'd only discovered months ago. Amr pulled Jamal aside. Kid, I want you to know something. No matter what happens tomorrow, you've got family. Real family. The kind that doesn't leave. But what if the judge? Then we make the judge see what we see. A smart kid who deserves a home. A brave kid who stood up for his sister. A good kid who just needs someone to believe in him. What if that's not enough? Then we appeal. We fight. We don't stop until we win. Jamal hugged him. This massive enforcer who'd broken bones and won fights and never backed down from anything. Thank you, Uncle Hammer. Hammer's voice cracked. Anytime, kid. Anytime. The next morning, Marcus woke at 5. Couldn't sleep. Too much riding on the next few hours. He got Jamal up at 6. The kid was already awake, staring at the ceiling. You ready? Marcus asked. No.
but I'm going anyway.
They dressed in their best clothes. Marcus in slacks and a button-down shirt, Jamal in khakis and the blue polo Sophia had picked out. They looked like they were going to church, which, in a way, they were. The courthouse was downtown. By the time they arrived at 8:30, the Hells Angels were already there. 12 bikers in suits and ties, their cuts left at home, looking almost respectable. Ms. Patterson met them in the hallway. "That's quite an entourage." "They're family," Marcus said simply. "The judge might not see it that way."
Then the judge doesn't understand what family means.
At 9 o'clock, they were called into the courtroom. Judge Martin presided, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. Marcus, Jamal, and their attorney sat at one table. Ms. Patterson sat at another. The judge reviewed the file for what felt like an eternity. "Mr. Rivera," she finally said, "I've read Mrs. Patterson's report. I've reviewed your background check, your financial statements, and the home visit documentation. I've also noted the incident at Jefferson Middle School 3 weeks ago." Marcus's heart pounded. "Yes, Your Honor." "Tell me about that incident, in your own words." Marcus stood. "My son defended his sister when another student called her a liar. He shouldn't have used violence, but he was protecting family. I can't fault him for that." "You're condoning violence?" "I'm condoning loyalty."
There's a difference. Judge Martin turned to Jamal.
"Son, come up here." Jamal walked to the bench, his legs shaking. "How old are you, Jamal?"
11, ma'am?
"And you want Mr. Rivera to adopt you?"
Yes, ma'am. More than anything.
"Why?" Jamal's voice came out stronger than Marcus expected.
Because he's the first person since my grandmother died who made me feel like I mattered. Like I was worth protecting. Like I deserved a family.
"What about foster care? We could find you a nice family." "I don't want a nice family. I want my family, Marcus and Sophia. They're mine and I'm theirs. Even though Mr. Rivera is a member of a motorcycle club that some people consider dangerous? Those people don't know him. They don't know any of them. The Hells Angels took care of me when nobody else would. They treated me like family before any papers were signed. That's not dangerous. That's love." Judge Martin looked at Marcus, then at the 12 bikers sitting in the gallery, then back at Jamal. "Son, do you understand that if I grant this adoption, you'll be a Rivera forever? You can't change your mind later. This is permanent."
I know, ma'am. That's what I want. Forever.
The judge was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked at Ms. Patterson. "Your recommendation?"
I recommend approval, Your Honor. This is a stable, loving home. Jamal is thriving. The Riveras are his best option.
Judge Martin nodded slowly. "Mr. Rivera, approach the bench." Marcus stood, his legs barely holding him. "I've been doing this job for 32 years. I've seen a lot of families, some good, some bad, some that look good on paper but fall apart in practice. You want to know what I see when I look at you?" "Yes, ma'am." "I see a man who showed up when it mattered, who didn't look the other way when a child needed help, who fought for a kid that nobody else wanted. That tells me everything I need to know about what kind of father you'll be." Marcus's vision blurred with tears. "Petition for adoption is granted. Jamal is now legally Jamal Marcus Rivera, son of Marcus Antonio Rivera. Congratulations." The gavel came down. The courtroom erupted. 12 bikers cheered. Sophia jumped up screaming. Ms. Patterson smiled. And Jamal turned to Marcus with tears streaming down his face.
I'm your son. Really, your son.
Marcus pulled him into a crushing hug. "You've been my son since the park, kid. Now everybody else knows it too." They spilled out into the courthouse hallway, Brothers clapping Marcus on the back, Sophia hugging Jamal and refusing to let go, strangers staring at this unusual family celebrating in the most ordinary way. Dutch pulled Marcus aside. "You did good, Prez. Real good." "We all did. Couldn't have done it without the brotherhood. That's what family's for." A week later, Dutch called another church meeting.
But this time it wasn't about club business.
"Brothers, we need to talk about something. About what happened with Jamal and what it means moving forward." The room went quiet. "We helped one kid. One. And it changed everything for him. Changed everything for Marcus and Sophia too. But there's other kids out there. Kids just like Jamal was. Homeless, alone, invisible. What are we going to do about them?" Hammer spoke up. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we make this official." Hell's Angels. Reno chapter opens its doors to homeless kids who need help. We create a program. We provide resources. We become the family for kids who don't have one. Marcus felt his chest tighten. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. We've got space at the clubhouse. We've got brothers with skills to teach. We've got resources we're not using. Why not use them to help kids?" One of the younger brothers raised his hand. "What about the legal stuff? Child services, regulations, all that?" "We work with them, not against them. We become licensed foster providers if we have to. We do this right." The vote was unanimous. Within 6 months, the Hells Angels Reno chapter had helped place 4 homeless kids with families, 2 with brothers in the club, 2 with families the club connected them with. Within a year, 3 other motorcycle clubs across Nevada had reached out. They'd heard about what the Hells Angels were doing and wanted to do the same. The Vegas Vipers started a program. The Carson City Mongols followed. The Desert Riders in Elko created a youth shelter funded entirely by the club. Marcus watched it all unfold with a sense of awe. One kid helping one girl had created a ripple that spread across an entire state. 3 years later, Marcus stood in his backyard watching Jamal and Sophia play basketball. Jamal was 14 now, tall and lean, and confident in ways he'd never been when Marcus first met him. Sophia was 10, her vision perfect, her world full of colors she never stopped marveling at. Dutch walked over, handed Marcus a beer. 47 kids, Prez. That's how many we've helped across Nevada in 3 years. 47. All because you didn't look the other way when one kid needed help. Marcus shook his head. Wasn't me. Was Jamal. He started this when he helped Sophia, and you finished it when you made him family. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the kids play. Jamal made a shot. Sophia cheered. The normalcy of it, the pure, ordinary beauty of it, still took Marcus's breath away sometimes. You ever think about what would have happened if you'd driven past that park? Dutch asked. If you'd gone somewhere else that day? Every day. Sophia would still be blind. Jamal would still be on the streets. And 47 other kids would still be alone. One choice changed everything. Yeah, it did. That night, after the kids were in bed, Marcus sat on the porch with a cup of coffee. His phone buzzed. A text from Principal Henderson. Jamal made honor roll again, 3rd semester in a row. You should be proud. Marcus smiled and typed back, I am, every day. Another text came through, this time from Hammer, a photo of a news article. The headline read, Motorcycle clubs across Nevada create safety net for homeless youth. The article detailed everything. The programs, the success stories, the kids who'd found families through biker clubs that society had written off as dangerous. At the bottom of the article was a quote from Jamal, now a spokesperson for the program. I was invisible for 3 years. Nobody saw me, nobody helped me, nobody cared.
Then one day I helped a little girl see, and the biker made me visible. That's what this program does. It makes invisible kids visible again.
Marcus set his phone down and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, his grandmother was probably telling anyone who would listen about her grandson who'd survived, who'd helped, who'd become part of something bigger than himself. The front door opened. Jamal stepped out onto the porch. "Can't sleep?" Marcus asked.
Just thinking. About what? About how different my life is now. 3 years ago, I was sleeping on a park bench. Now I'm sitting on a porch with my dad.
Wild, isn't it?
Yeah, really wild. Jamal sat down beside him. You ever regret it? Taking me in?
Not once. Not even for a second.
Even when I got suspended? Even when things got hard?
Especially then. That's when family matters most. When things are hard, and you show up anyway. Jamal leaned against Marcus's shoulder.
I love you, Dad.
Marcus's throat tightened. Jamal had started calling him Dad about a year ago, but it still hit him every single time.
I love you too, son.
They sat there in the dark, this father and son who'd found each other in the most unlikely way, and watched the world move around them. Inside the house, Sophia slept peacefully, her eyes closed but ready to open to a world she could finally see. 3 lives changed by 30 seconds of courage in a park. 47 more lives changed by the ripple effect that followed. And it all started because one homeless boy refused to stay invisible when someone needed help. Because one biker refused to look away when a child needed saving. Because one little girl trusted a stranger with hands that could heal what no doctor could fix. Marcus had spent 7 years trying to give Sophia her sight. In the end, it was Sophia who gave him vision. The ability to see what really mattered, to recognize family when it appeared in unexpected forms, to understand that love isn't about blood or biology or matching last names. Love is about showing up, about choosing each other, about building something permanent from something that started as temporary. The Rivera family wasn't born. It was built. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one act of courage at a time. And that made it stronger than any family that ever existed.